oil in their feathers, the birds can't stay warm. They die of hypothermia. It's one of the worst spills Southern California has seen. The last major spill was in 2015 near Santa Barbara, when a ruptured pipeline dumped 2,400 barrels onshore and into the ocean. As the cause of this oil spill was investigated, people who live and work near Huntington Beach reported smelling oil as early as Friday, leading many to ask whether officials responded quickly enough to contain the spill. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Sy.
A worldwide consortium of journalists has published what it calls the Pandora Papers, revealing a parallel financial universe in which world leaders and the mega rich can hide billions of dollars in secretive offshore accounts. Investigators say.
Okay, there we go. So again, welcome everyone. It's good to see everyone. I hope your month was good. And just to remind everyone what last month was, the field trip was to go to Nash Hill Road and Hen Hawk Trail in Williamsburg. And 5 target birds, I had to write them down because I was like, wait, I don't remember. White-breasted nuthatch, the red-breasted nuthatch, common yellowthroat, ruby-crowned kinglet, and Carolina wren. So those were our target birds. And did anyone have a chance to get out there?
I did.
Oh, you did? Then
Yep.
What did you see, Lisa?
I saw a bunch of warblers came through, like at one point, and I couldn't tell you what any of them were.
Yeah.
There was about like 8 or 10 when we started out. Early when we started out, there was like a little bit of a clearing on the right, and like a little bit more of a meadow, and a group of like 8 to 12 came through, but they continued on. I saw like a little, they landed, I saw a little bit of yellow.
Uh-huh.
Pretty sure they were warblers. And
It sounds like fall warbler watching.
Yeah, exactly.
And was it all in that area that you saw most of the warblers?
Yeah, and we went kind of, midday. It was probably maybe not the best time to look for birds, but yeah, but we had a nice walk. I was glad to, we've never didn't know anything about that area, and so we always like to find new places to walk.
Yeah,
So
and did you go up Hen Hawk Trail or did you stay on the road?
we went up Hen Hawk Trail.
Oh, you did go up the trail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the clearing was when you went up the trail a little bit, and then there was a clearing.
Yeah, shortly after we started out.
Okay.
A
Yeah.
bit of a opening, and then most of the rest of the way was more wooded.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't see any of the nuthatches?
Nope.
I know, isn't that funny? Yeah. Sometimes it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely spot. And do you remember what day you went by any chance? Was it like right away after we?
It was last week.
Oh, so okay, so it was recently. Wow, and there were still warblers
last
around.
week. Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah, actually, I hardly did any, much birding. Well, at least not for warblers, except for last week. And I went to like 4 different places, and I did see a common yellowthroat, I think, but I couldn't tell you where I saw which place. And I think I saw palm warblers, because there was one that really bobbed its tail a lot.
Great. And you know what? We're going to be talking about palm warblers tonight. So
Okay.
Yes. Great. Yeah, they're my favorite, personally.
Yeah.
And did someone else get up to Nash Hill Road or Hen Hawk Trail? Anyone else have a chance? I know it's kind of far for sometimes to get up to Williamsburg.
I didn't get there.
I didn't get there, but I've been up there actually in the spring. I think I went, and if you go all the way up there, it connects with all the Conway snowmobile trails, and you can just walk for hours up there. It's
the Hen Hawk Trail connects to.
Yeah, if you go far enough in there, you can go all over up there. and get
Wow.
yourself good and lost.
Because I have to say, I've been there many times, but not on the Hen Hawk Trail. I always walk the dirt road,
Yep.
and the dirt road, Nash Hill Road, goes down to, was it Whately Reservoir? I think it's called. It ends, it's about a total of a 3.5 mile walk round trip. And so you
Yeah,
follow,
because isn't there a bridge that's out?
no, the bridge is, it's totally passable now.
Oh, okay, okay.
And it's a beautiful walk. So if anyone wants a place just to go walking, and the dirt road doesn't have very much traffic on it.
You know,
Even if
I've started the dirt road in the past with Jeff LeBaron in the spring.
Mhm.
It's pretty good for Canada and Blackburnians and
Yeah.
sort of the ones you don't necessarily see in the lower elevations because they
Right.
bring up there.
Yeah. And so you can go down, and then it ends up being a paved road and the Whately Reservoir on the left. So you get a big open expanse of the pond, which is, it's really quite lovely. And before you get there, you're walking, you go kind of downhill a little bit, and there's, I don't know what river it is. That's, I mean, not huge.
Mill
But-
River, probably?
I don't know. I don't think it's the Mill River. I don't know what river it is.
Hmm.
No, Mill River starts in Williamsburg. So this is different.
Oh, I thought this
Yeah,
was.
but it's really pretty. It's going over rocks and everything, fast flowing. And then you walk over a bridge and over that. I don't know. It's so pretty.
I thought this was Williamsburg. This is
What's
not.
that?
I thought we were
It
in.
is Williamsburg, but that part of it is Whately.
Oh, okay, all right.
I know it's confusing. I'd have to look on a map and I have no idea which waterway it is, but whatever, it's pretty. And also it's a really nice walk along the road because you do pass a lot of creeks
Hmm.
and wetlands and then some forested areas. So I think that's why it attracts so many different birds, because of all of that.
And that road you're talking about is Nash Hill or a road off of
Nash Hill Road, yeah.
Nash Hill? Okay.
Yeah. So it's worth a trip. And I did go, I went once this past month, and I went mid-September, and I walked the road. I didn't go up on Hen Hawk Trail, and I only got 2 of the target birds. I heard a white-breasted nuthatch, and I saw a common yellowthroat. And I walked all the way down, and I came back, and almost right back at my car was where I had a whole flurry of activity of birds in one spot. And I thought I didn't even have to walk. I could have just sat in this one spot because I ended up with 10 different warblers.
Oh,
Oh my
Yeah,
God, that's amazing.
it was amazing. It would just, I hit it right. And it was the sun had just come up and hit this pine tree and right on the edge of this marsh. And I think it was just the right spot to start warming up insects, and then the warblers were just going back and forth and back and forth. And there probably were more species in there. I just couldn't get good enough views,
Yeah.
which is always a challenge in the fall. So,
Wow.
yeah, because I had one blackpoll. I'm sure there were more than one. And I'm trying to think what else I had. Nashville, Parola, black-throated blue, and black-throated green. So yeah, it was lovely. Yeah, it was a lovely day. So anyhow, I recommend it. And in the winter time, maybe not the winter, but early spring, I think that's where people heard and saw crossbills last year.
Hmm.
Do you recall that, Mary Lou? I don't know. I can't remember what time of year that was, but it's something to keep an eye out for. Yeah, or to know what's being seen out there. So any other exciting bird sightings besides?
Well, I didn't get there, but I do see the white-breasted nuthatch all the time at my house. And
You have a feeder up, Olivia?
yeah, I have a bunch of feeders up,
Mm-hmm.
and I live in a wetlands area right near
Nice.
Leverett Pond. So, and last winter I had a pair of the red-breasted nuthatches. I just
Oh.
love them. They're
I
so teeny and they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope they'll come back. I don't know. It was the first time I'd ever seen them. So I
Yeah.
don't know what makes them show up and what makes them not. And I hear the Carolina wren quite a bit. So I don't know if I'd recognize the sounds of, well, I do recognize the yellowthroat, but I haven't heard it for a few weeks.
Right, and then
Because I
fall,
do hear that, I do hear that in the summer.
yeah, and fall, of course, their singing decreases, right? They're not
Right,
supposed to sing out.
exactly, yeah. So,
Right. Sometimes they'll do a little song, like a little soft song.
hmm,
That's how I knew actually in this group of warblers that I had a black-throated blue,
Hmm.
because I was watching all the warblers going back and forth from the pine tree to the other trees. And then I heard this very soft, it wasn't like a full-on singing the black-throated blue song, but just that the pattern. And it did it a few times. I was like, so interesting.
nice.
Yeah, how they sing differently at different times. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wonder if they ever sing for fun, not just for mating purposes or
Yeah, or is
territorial.
it, I don't know, it's all hormonal, right? So their hormones,
Right,
birds' hormones change drastically in the spring, which must have a relationship with their songs, and song is so important in mating and reproduction. So this time of year, I don't know if there's a small trigger of the day length is shortening, and so the day length matches the length of day in the spring,
mhm,
or are they young birds that are practicing?
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about that. Can't remember the guy's name who knows so much about bird song.
I have his book, Krudsma, I
Yeah,
think.
that's
or
it.
something like
Right. He
that.
did a workshop for us.
He did.
Uh-huh.
It
It was
yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah, he'd probably know the answer to that.
he probably would. But I mean, because some birds really, I mean, like white-throated sparrows come through every fall and they sing like crazy, even in the fall.
I know, right? You're right. Yeah.
Maybe some of you hear those too, anyway.
And the interesting thing about white-throated sparrows is that they usually make the pattern, oh, Sam, peabody, peabody, right at the end, the three noted at the end.
Right,
There's a population that's out in the Midwest that only does 2 notes at the end.
interesting.
And so, and it's slowly the song's being learned
Hmm.
and coming east.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
something to pay attention to when you're seeing
Interesting.
and hearing white-throated sparrows is,
Mhm.
are they doing a triplet at the end, or are they doing double at the end?
Interesting. Huh.
Uh-huh. I know, all these little
Plus,
subtleties.
plus in the fall, I always feel like there are young birds practicing and they're really
Yeah.
kind of squeaky and don't quite have it down. But anyway, I encourage them.
It's like teenage boys, like, right, when their voices are changing. Yeah. So any other bird news that people want to share? Any other birds? Didn't have to be at Nash Hill Road. Any
I
other-
just had a question about that Hen Hawk Trail. If someone was familiar with it. So we followed it, what seemed to be, I think was the Hen Hawk Trail when it went like continued straight up. But
Mhm.
there was shortly at the beginning of the trail, there was a fork to the right that kind of went down and then went over a couple of bridges. We didn't follow it too far. But is anybody familiar with, because the trails aren't really marked.
They're not marked, and the Hen Hawk Trail that I've always heard people birding on is just when you continue, it's kind of like a slight uphill from the parking lot.
Yeah,
And you continue just straight.
right.
Yes. And then you turn around and come back whenever
Right.
you're done.
That's
It's kind of
most
a
of what
there
we-
and back.
Yeah, mostly what we did, but what had at the beginning, there was a fork to the right and there was
Interesting.
Whistle.
Yeah, that's interesting because there are
like snowmobile trails or something.
yes, I was gonna say off of the dirt road as well. And then there's some
Okay.
private property further down. So I'm not sure if it would swing around to that.
Okay,
Don't know it well enough. Yeah, because I've only ever heard of people just staying on the main trail and then turning around,
Mhm.
coming back. Yeah. So. Anything else anyone want to share? Any other sightings?
Well, I'm actually visiting someone on the Cape and I could swear I've been hearing a song sparrow, but I have not been hearing them back in Massachusetts, we're in Western Mass. Is it possible they're still singing down here, but not up there? Wonder what it would be about.
I think they're still singing all over.
Oh, they are? Okay, I haven't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I heard one just, gosh, yesterday, I think.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. I
And
mean,
it's,
it's not as much obviously as the spring, but.
no, and it's, now that you mentioned that quiet thing, it seems quieter to me.
Yeah, maybe softer, right?
Yeah.
It's like a softer tone.
Yeah, something,
Uh-huh.
that's why I didn't quite recognize it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, neat. All right, well, I'm gonna share my screen and show you what I have for this month. Let me see here. Let me figure this out. Share screen, here we go. Oh, I just pressed the wrong thing here, okay. All right, let me try to get this out of the way. Okay, do you see all, can you all see that? A full screen of a photograph of trees?
It's not full screen, but maybe I have to make it. It's fine though.
Everyone-
No, it's not a full screen, Laura.
Oh, it's not a full screen.
We can
Okay.
see the PowerPoint at the bottom.
Oh, gosh, okay. So let me try this again then,
Oh,
because that's not gonna, how's that?
oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's it.
Great. It's always something I learn new at Zoom. This, I took a couple photos when I went to Nash Hill Road. Oh, let me go back again. Just for fun. I always try to do that now. So whatever our do-it-yourself field trip, if I make it to the field trip spot, I try to take pictures of it to show what it was like to be there. So this was on mid-September, where this is the spot where I saw all the warblers actually. And what's really nice about Nash Hill Road, not very far from the parking lot where you park to go to the Hen Hawk Trail. If you actually stay on the road, just not very far, maybe not even 100 yards, you'll see on your right this beaver swamp. And on one of these trees is a nesting great blue heron pair. So that's kind of something fun to look for in the springtime. But it was lovely. You can see it's this beautiful morning. And I love autumn and how everything turns different colors. I mean, look at the grasses here. It's so pretty. And this was, a few weeks ago. So, and here's the road walking down. And I took a picture of this because this, if you go out early seasons or when it's cold in the morning, like early spring if it's cold, or fall mornings when it's cold, and you're birding, you try to look for sunshine hitting tops of trees. That's where the birds will mostly be. But it's so pretty on National Road. So I highly recommend it if you didn't get out there. So this month, our do-it-yourself field trip for October is going to be Pine Grove Conservation Area, which is in Northampton. And it's one of the newer conservation areas. So it actually does not have, it has trails, but it doesn't yet have a trail map. So it's something you'll have to try and explore and keep track of where you are. I'm not sure actually if their kiosk has a map on it yet. It may have a map on it because I know the trails were built last year, the trail system. And so the next step would be to make a trail map. So it's something to look for at the kiosk. But if you don't know where it is, right up here where you see these arrows, this is Rocky Hill Road. If you're from Northampton, Route 66. So downtown Northampton, you can see where the arrow's pointing is this way, and then West Hampton is further down the road. And so if you're coming from Northampton on Route 66, you would take a left on Old Wilson Road. And you drive down past, you can see this is private area right here. It's not green. So these are all houses through here. So you pass a neighborhood, and then there'll be a fence right here, a wooden fence, and you'll see trees and wetlands on this side. and you'll start to see kind of an open area with big pine trees. And then you keep driving and you will see just on your left, the kiosk. And that's where you park, and that's where the X is. It's very obvious when you're driving an old Wilson Road. It's not like you're going to drive past it because you have to drive in to a parking spot. The parking is just right off the road. And some people actually park on the road. It is not a busy road. There's some traffic, but it's not a busy road. So there's maybe 3 or 4 spaces to park a car there. And then right from that kiosk, there is a trail that goes straight out, and you follow along. You see this little creek here. You could follow along this little creek, and there's trails that go to this pond and around, and then you can come back. There are trails that loop beyond the pond and out, way out into the woods and around into the woods and then down. I would say that the birding in the woods is not great. It's better to be, this was an old golf course, so it's better to be in the old open areas that are getting overgrown. That way, it's also easier because then you're not going to get yourself lost, because you'll be able to see back towards your car in the kiosk. So the terrain, like I said, it's old golf course, so there's some places along the edge of the trail with high grass, big pine trees, a whole bunch of big planted trees. And there's brush piles. All of that is excellent habitat for birding. And it's kind of a spot that's being discovered. I mean, it just became a conservation area. I'm trying to think how long ago, 3 years ago, maybe. And Jim Lafley and I just started birding it. It's excellent this time of year for sparrows, which we have a sparrow workshop coming up, Scott Cerner's doing, and he did that last year too. So it's a good spot for sparrows as well as other birds, which I'm going to mention our 5 target birds in just a minute. Anyone have any questions about the map here? I made the red to kind of show the boundary of it. Over here, I do believe is protected, but it's wetland, so there's no trails over there. And another thing to note is when you go beyond the kiosk, on your left here is the old entrance to the golf course, and they're making private homes up here. So you don't want to park up here at all. I don't think you'd make that mistake though. Just stay on Old Wilson Road. You'll see the kiosk and you'll know that's the place to park. Okay. I'll move on to the directions then. And if you'd like, you could take a picture of it. But again, from downtown Northampton, you take 66 West. And if you know where the county jail is on your right, you take your next left after that onto Old Wilson Road. Any questions about the map or directions? Okay. If anyone needs more of this, you can always email me too. All right, so our target birds. We had to start with a sparrow because, like I said, it's a great place for sparrows. Sparrow season is upon us. And I try to get people excited about sparrows. I know that can be hard. But I started with one of the prettiest sparrows, I think, the white-throated sparrow. And the white-throated sparrow, first of all, let me back up a little bit with sparrows. What you want to focus on, once you know it's a sparrow, you look at this bill, it's kind of like, I call it a fat triangle, and kind of short little bills because they're seed eaters. So you want to identify it in the sparrow group. And then once you have a sparrow, look at head pattern and chest pattern. Those are kind of the first things to look for, and then of course, other features as well. And so if you notice with our white-throated sparrow, it has no streaks on the chest, or it has slight streaks on the side, as you can see in this photograph, but nothing that's going to stand out, because when you're birding, and you know how sparrows are, they pop up, you see them for a few seconds, and they pop back down again, or they're flying across a road. or the trail. So it can be a very quick glimpse. White-throated sparrows have this yellow right near the eyes, black and white streaks on this one. We'll get to how they can be tan and black in a second. And then they have a very defined white throat. So it looks like, someone kind of drew a little faint line around it. Note other sparrows do have white throats, but a white-throated sparrow, you'd be like, whoa, look at that white throat. Like it's just like someone really defined it. And notice the color of their backs, very rufous, streaking. They're a really beautiful bird. You might also see the white-throated sparrow looking like this. So keep that in mind, that white-throated sparrows are not always that popping black and white image on their head. They can have sort of this tan, brown, gray striping on the head. And again, that defined white throat. And notice that this one has faint streaks on it, but nothing really strong, not strong barring like our song sparrow. So I didn't put song sparrow in our grouping this month, but because it's sparrow season, I always say with every group of birds that you're learning, try to learn the base bird. And to me, a song sparrow is like that bird. Like really look at it in your field guide. And then when you see a sparrow that looks different than the song sparrow, you can compare it. And so a song sparrow has very strong streaking and that smudge in the center. And this bird does not at all. Any questions about our white-throated sparrow?
Does the female look the same?
Mm-hmm.
So it has the yellow?
Yeah, so you can see there's faint yellow right here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is, here's a male with the bright yellow.
Right.
And then there's color variations too. So there are white-throated sparrows that are very pale.
Hmm.
I mean, pale, brownish,
Mhm.
young ones.
But that doesn't mean it's a female. It just might be young or a different variation.
I'm pretty sure that the males are the brightly colored ones. I
Yeah.
don't know why my brain's not working right now. It's like
Well,
I
that
can't
makes
remember.
total sense.
Do you
yes.
remember Mary Lou? It's like my brain's not working. Let me look that up for you, Olivia. Yeah. So hold on.
Well,
yeah.
I can look it up too.
No, I know. No, it's just, it's like I see these birds all the time. Any other questions about the right-throated sparrow while I'm doing this? And you will hear them singing that. So, oh, Sam, peebity, peebity. So this is the adult. And an adult can also look like this.
Sibley doesn't show a difference between the male and the female.
Right, exactly. So, but there's a difference in this coloration. Like there is this adult and there is this adult.
Right.
And
Right.
and an immature can look like this also.
Right.
Right. It said regardless of sex and age. So they can be either the bright white with the yellow or the tan striped, regardless of sex or age.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right. Any other questions? Did that help? Is that clear, Olivia?
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
really
great. Okay, good. And thanks for asking because that helped clear it up in my brain too. Field sparrow. Field sparrow, look how much different this sparrow is. What do you guys notice is so different?
Very pale.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's what you're gonna notice. Very, very pale. And it has no streaking, again, on its chest. Very pale around kind of the back of the head. Notice the eye ring. So it kind of has a wide-eyed look.
Huh.
Pink bill. And
Oh.
that pale bill will stand out. Males and females are the same. So I'm going to go back one. See, look at the dark gray bill here. Very dark looking sparrow, right? The white-throated sparrow. Even if you ignore the head here, look how dark that sparrow is. And then going forward, the field sparrow. Again, though, that fat triangular bill. A little bit of rusty on the top.
Mhm.
I
Oh.
just want to make sure I didn't have any other field sparrow photos. Any questions about our field sparrow? So what you'll notice about them, again, you'll be like, wow, that's a really pale bird. And really, if you just see underneath it, very plain.
Hmm.
Okay, fine, I'm going. Okay, palm warbler. So it is October. So these guys are going through. So if we want to see the palm warblers, better get out soon. This is a palm warbler that you would typically see in springtime. Really yellow, it stands out yellow, that rusty cap. Okay, so here is what we could see in the fall. What I want you to notice about the bird is it's yellow underneath the tail. These are the undertail coverts. Kind of a split eye ring, faintly streaked on the top. Sometimes you'll still have a rusty cap. So those are things to look for. That kind of a slight head pattern, maybe a slight rusty cap, yellow under the table, but under the tail, not under the table, under the tail. And hopefully this will work. I'm going to try to get to this video. So hold on, let me make it larger for everyone. Can you all see this video?
Yeah.
And watch the tail. See how it's flicking it up and down, up and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, really fast. And that's distinctive. So if you see a warbler and it's moving its tail up and down really fast like this, and it has yellow under the tail, you have a palm warbler.
Mm.
Okay. Now the trick is I have to get back to my PowerPoint. There we go. And again, we went from sparrows to warblers. So I want to mention the bill again. You got long, thin bills on warblers. Some warblers, like our yellow-rumped warblers, will eat berries, but most of the time they're eating insects. And so they have thinner, more needle-shaped bills. And we all know warblers because they move fast, right? Very fast up, often either on the ground or in trees. Palm warblers are pretty low when I see them, but they can be, sometimes mid-level. But again, it's that moving of the tail is this constant thing. Any questions about our palm warbler? I have one more thing to show you about it. So here's often this is all we see of the warblers, right?
Right.
You're looking straight up. And so here is another clue that is a palm warbler. Of course, you would see that tail moving up and down, but here's the undertail coverts. Here are the undertail coverts that are yellow. And then notice this white pattern. It's not unique, but it is something that can help in identification of palm warblers from underneath. So you're not seeing the end of the tail that's black tipped, totally black tipped. It's not all black underneath, that sort of thing. So it can be another clue to use. Yellow-rumped warbler, of course, aptly named. If you get a really good view of its yellow rump, and notice how plain they are this time of year, very brown. They don't have any of that striking black pattern at all to them this time of year. You might see one that has some of the spring color left over, but most of the yellow-rumped warblers I've been seeing are kind of this brown color. What else to look for? They're sort of a stocky warbler, and they have long tails. The other feature, look for a slight yellow patch on the shoulders. And you'll see this slight white eye ring. They have wing bars. Again, very plain brown. And they do, as a behavior clue, they do a lot of fly catching. So they'll sit on a branch and they'll fly out, catch something, and they'll come back or come close to that same branch again. And I wanted to show you the undertail of a yellow-rumped warbler. Right here, these white spots can help you identify them. I always tell people, if you're looking at yellow-rumped warbler, or you think you're looking at a yellow-rumped warbler, or it's, you know, this very plain brownish warbler, if you can see underneath the tail, try to find these, I call them teardrop shapes. They're not really teardrop shapes, but those white dots. And I have another drawing of that on the next slide. So there you go. It's kind of these white pattern. And notice the undertail coverts on a yellow rumped warbler are white. So you have yellow on top, white underneath. And then this long tail and these white dot, big long ovals, or whatever you want to call those, that shape. Any questions about that? So when I mean long tail, you can see like the body ends where at this point right here. Some warblers, like a northern parula, for example, their tail would only go to about this length. So tail, you can compare the length of the tail of a bird when you're looking at it with your binoculars. Compare that length with the length of the body, and how far would the tail, if you could chop that tail off and put it against its body, how long would it be in comparison? And so a yellow-rumped warbler has a fairly long tail. Any questions about a yellow-rumped warbler? They're singing too this time of year, and they do a very muted trill that starts on one tone and then will either drop down or go higher to another tone. And I'm not sure if I call it, it's kind of musical, I guess. I would call it musical, not a dry trill. But it's something you might want to listen to on allaboutbirds.org, or if you have the Merlin Bird app. And our last bird is our dark-eyed junco.
Love them.
I know, right?
So cute.
And I haven't seen many yet. Has anyone seen them yet?
No, not
Not
yet.
yet. A little early. So look for them. Keep track of when they arrive. It's always exciting. Very, very dark. And then this white belly. I always think that, they used to be called snowbirds. I don't know if anyone remembers that. And I always think that it's like a dark bird that someone took and just dipped its little belly in the snow, and it got snow on it.
Right.
Looks like to me, and the edge of the tail on both sides is white, just like, if you know what a mockingbird, like the edge of the mockingbird tail is white. So that's something to look for. And some of their behavior, especially if you have bird feeders and they start coming to your bird feeders, is when they're on the ground, they'll hop around looking for seed, and when they hop, they flare that tail so you can see that white. And they flare it and flare it. And I wonder if it's something to protect them you know, something that will distract. If let's say a hawk sees them, that is what the hawk will go for, is the tail, because it will see that white flash and not the bird itself. And so the bird would be able to get away.
Huh.
Not sure if that's the case. Light colored bill, very dark eye. And they can be from this very, very dark gray to brownish. Here's some at a feeder fighting over food. But I wanted to point out, you can hardly see it, but there's the white edge of the tail here. Here's the white edge of the tail. And again, it looks like the belly was just, you know, either dipped in white paint or in snow. So I think of it.
Jim did see one this morning in our yard, so.
Oh, okay, so they're on their way. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there was
Great.
also there's also a group of them in some city in California that
Really?
that have lost the white. They're
Oh
like
my gosh, so they're
green
all
outside.
totally dark?
Well, the white, no, the white on the tail is disappearing.
huh.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember where I read that. It might have been a Cornell, maybe,
Uh-huh.
or maybe.
I'll have to look that up. That's curious.
Yeah, that there, it was, the story was basically about, you know, people think evolution takes so long, but this was sort of a study in how quickly this movement in the tail colors has changed.
And
Over
so
just,
there must be some advantage for them in that city to have.
or they were speculating that it didn't have, the white didn't have an advantage as it did. They thought it was like for in breeding, you know, the white tail, and it apparently.
Yes, right. And so that's interesting because maybe, you know, they're all almost always together in a flock, at least at my feeder. And
Yeah,
they're always hopping around showing that white on the edge of their tail. So they're communicating something.
yeah. So I don't know. It was interesting, but you know, the story was more about evolution and how quickly in bird populations evolution takes place quicker than people thought.
Right.
But I can't remember where. It was either Cornell or Audubon. I think I read it.
And Juncos breed on top of, what is it, Mount Skinner? Is that it? Where we go hawk watching.
Yeah.
Skinner State Park. Yes.
Yeah.
Mount Holyoke and Greylock. And so you can see them during the breeding season, but they're just in higher elevations.
Yep.
And then we'll see them all winter long at our feeders. Anyone
And
have questions about our Junco?
Also, the dark ones are like the lighter ones are female.
Yeah.
Mary
Right.
Alice mentioned that because she said that somebody she knows now down like in like New Jersey, like Cape May area, they get all the lighter colored ones and we get the dark ones because we
Huh.
get the males.
And then is it out west? I can't remember, where they have like black hoods and then they have rusty backs. I'd have to look in a Sibley's guide because I think out west they come in a different color. It's almost more like a towy, like.
Yeah, there's
no
actually,
spots.
I think, a couple of different Juncos out there.
There's something called a yellow-eyed junco.
Yeah, but even within the Junco family, Oregon, yeah, it's the Oregon one in the Sibley book. That the male looks like more like a toey. It's got a little bit more of the rusty on its back and above the white belly.
Right.
So if you travel.
And then there's also a pink-sided one, which is different.
In Arizona, they have yellow-eyed juncos.
Yeah, but this is all within the dark-eyed junco family. And then there's a white-winged junco. So, and a slate-colored junco from the Canadian Rockies. So yeah, within the dark-eyed junco, there's a bunch of different ones.
So I think it's all
There's a red-backed one.
probably genetically all still being figured out.
Yeah, and a gray-headed. I mean, it's, if you go to
Wow.
it's, and then there's a hybrid of a dark-eyed junco crossed with a white throated sparrow.
Oh my gosh. I
mean,
did not know
I've seen
that.
one of those too.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Sibley's, I mean, there's a bunch of different, I mean,
Interesting.
we have those, but when you go someplace else, it's,
Mhm.
the possibilities of Juncos are endless.
And this is an example that, again, like I said, that you can know a base bird, like I was talking about the song sparrow. If you really, really get to know juncos and the way they move, the way they're shaped, their silhouettes, then if you do travel and see something, the color's not right, you'll still be like, well, that reminds me of a junco, and that will lead you to that page in Sibley or whatever guide you're using, so you can figure it out. So I just noticing nuances of how the birds react with each other, and again, their silhouettes and the overall shape and things, like the length of the tail, all those little details will help if you travel. Yeah. So I think that is it. So our next Zoom will be November 1st, which you do need to register for, and it is in the newsletter because the newsletters come out. So, and then we'll send a reminder. Lissa will send an email reminder for folks about a week in advance.
Great.
To let us
When
know.
is Scott's class? Do you know off the top of your head what they?
No, but I can get oh, go ahead.
It's Wednesday, but I couldn't find a link for it. I was
Is it
wondering-
this Wednesday?
I thought it was. I looked on the, I thought I looked
Yeah,
on the newsletter, but there wasn't a link. And I didn't know how to.
No, yeah, we send the links out. So let me end my show here. And I can stop sharing. And what I can do is, if you give me a minute, I can look this all up for you all. So hold on, I'm gonna have to be looking at my screen here, so hold on a sec. So, yeah, we have all our registrations, so I can just look these up and then I can tell you the dates. Okay. Yes, it is on Wednesday the 6th. So that's in a couple days at 6:30. So it's from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And the link hasn't been sent out yet because I'm the one who sends that out.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I'll be sending that out tomorrow. And so if you had emailed to register, you'll be getting the link.
And it's the recorded versions on the website, right? Like
Yes, it takes a couple days for that to happen, but yes, once we get the link, I send it to Derek Allard, who's in charge of the website, and then he puts it up on the website so that people who can't make it. And Olivia, you're not on the.
Yeah, I didn't know I had, I mean, I'm a member, but I didn't know I had to.
Yeah, you have to register. So
Who would I didn't see anything.
you can
about it.
register right now. Just if you remind me, what's your email?
Olivia Bernard 23@gmail.
Olivia Bernard 23@gmail.com. There you go. Now you're on the list.
Perfect, thank you.
How's that for easy? All right.
Great, perfect.
Let me
That's
find
lovely.
you guys. There you go. So yes, so it is this Wednesday. For some reason, I got my Wednesdays mixed up. I have missed a week somehow. I just can't believe it's October already.
I can't believe it's October 4th.
Yeah, I just keep thinking it's September. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, good luck, everyone. I hope you have a
Thank
chance
you.
to get over to Pine Grove. It's a really fun place to go birding.
Okay, well,
Because
great.
I was going to add, if you do go out there and you want something else to do, if you go further out 66 to West Hampton, there's a Audubon, I forget the road offhand, you could look it up. There's an Audubon place in West Hampton that's kind of nice. I'd never been there before. Lines Woods.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a nice little loop. There was a meadow. That's where I saw the palm warbler. And I think there were some other warblers, but I couldn't identify. But there's some areas that have kind of a meadow. It's an old farm. And then there's a path that goes along a a brook in the woods, and that was kind of nice.
Nice.
Yes,
Give you
it's
someplace
lovely.
else to go while you're out there.
Thank
It's
you.
maybe about a 1.5 mile walk, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
one
mile and
place.
a half, I think, 1.75 miles walk.
Yeah, yep.
And so if anyone's interested in finding out how to get there, you can look at massaudubon.org. I think you could do /Lines Woods, LYNES. If not, you might just Google Lines Woods, Mass Audubon, and it should come up.
Great.
Yeah.
And it will give you a map and directions. It will pull
Yeah.
it up, and then the page will give you maps and directions.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
only one loop, so you don't get
Yeah, that's
lost.
right.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, beautiful trees too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's lovely because it's a little bit higher elevation. It's in the hill town, so it's
Hmm.
you know, you have birch trees and more sugar maples. Yeah, it's lovely.
Nice.
Yeah. And one other thing I was going to add, I just happened to read a book. I think it's new, "The Gift of the Hummingbird"
Oh,
by Sy Montgomery. She also wrote the book about the octopuses, the
oh,
solo.
right,
was-
right.
So, and it's really short, but it, you know, if you like birds, the hummingbirds, it's I got it from the library. It's
thank
pretty
you.
quick read.
That's great.
Great.
Laura, is
Right,
that
anyone
walk
else?
still on out there to the Pine Grove?
What's that?
Is that walk still on that you're gonna do on October 24th?
As far as I know, yeah. I look forward to it.
'Cause
I hope the weather's nice.
Some of them weren't on the new list, the new newsletter that came out.
Yes. So Jim and I are both doing a bird walk there on October 24th. So we're one of our field trips. Hopefully finding some sparrows.
Why did you say it's sparrow season? I'm just curious. Is there something about right now that they're?
Yeah, there's a lot of different sparrow species are migrating through this time of year.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, and so it's, you know, that's kind of a general, you know, if you think of like autumn, I always think of August as kind of a time when that's when you see a lot of shorebirds migrating.
Mhm.
And then September, I think of, I mean, obviously there's many other birds that migrate in August as well. And then September, I think of kind of as fall warblers. And then October, I think of sparrows.
Interesting.
And then November is our ducks and geese. So it's kind of this generalization because of course there are many other birds that are migrating. And of course, September is hawk season, raptor season too.
Right, right.
Yeah. But that lasts, you know, people always think September is when broadwing hawks go in very large numbers.
Right.
But raptor migration lasts all the way through October into November.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see the numbers.
But then we're waiting for the tree sparrows to come down.
Yes, right. And those are the winter sparrows that we'll see. Yeah. They're lovely.
Mm.
All right.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
joining me. And so unfortunately, Leslie couldn't join us tonight, but she'll be with us next month. So,
Great.
all right. Enjoy
Thank
your
you
birding and I'll
so
see you
much.
maybe at the sparrow workshop. All
Yeah, that would be great.
right. Take care.
Take care. Have a good evening.